The transport ship's docking bay smelled like metal and fear. Lucy Chun gripped her single bag tighter as alien cadets, twice her size, pushed past her without looking down. Their conversations buzzed in languages she barely recognized, all sharp consonants and threatening growls. A blue-skinned giant with 4 arms laughed at something his friend said. The sound made Lucy's teeth ache. She counted 17 different species just in this one corridor, each one built for war in ways humans never were. Thick hide, natural weapons, muscles that could crush steel. Lucy stood 5 feet, nothing in boots that added 2 inches she desperately needed. Form ranks. The voice boomed across the academy's main hall. 200 cadets snapped to attention with military precision. Lucy found herself squeezed between a creature that looked like a walking tank and another whose breath could probably melt glass. She kept her eyes forward and tried not to think about how easily either one could accidentally step on her. Commander Brass stood at the front, his scarred face showing decades of real combat. His species looked almost human except for the gray skin and eyes like black glass. When he spoke, even the biggest aliens listened. "You are the elite." His words echoed off stone walls older than human civilization. "Each of you represents the finest warriors your species can produce. Each of you has earned your place here through blood and skill." Lucy shifted slightly. She had earned her place through test scores and General Stone's personal recommendation. No blood involved, unless she counted the nosebleed from staying up 3 nights straight studying for the entrance exam. "In 1 week, you will face the kill trial." Commander Brass began pacing. "For 500 years, this trial has separated the strong from the dead. You will spend 30 days on Hadron Moon. You will hunt. You will be hunted. 80% of you will not return." Murmurs rippled through the ranks. Lucy did quick math in her head. 40 survivors out of 200. She wondered if anyone had ever calculated the exact odds. Probably not. Warriors did not usually worry about statistics. The trial has 3 simple rules. Commander Brass held up one clawed finger. Kill or be killed. Survive by any means necessary. Only the strongest will see graduation. A red-scaled alien raised her hand. "Commander, what about alliances? Temporary at best. Trust is a luxury that gets you killed. Every previous trial winner has succeeded alone." His black eyes scanned the crowd. The weak die first. The clever die second. Only the ruthless live. Lucy made mental notes while trying to look appropriately intimidated. Hadron Moon. She had read about it in the Academy database. Rocky terrain, thin atmosphere, limited water sources. The kind of place where cooperation would actually improve survival rates. Interesting that they discouraged it so strongly. After dismissal, Lucy followed the crowd toward the dormitory levels. Conversations erupted around her, all focused on kill counts and hunting strategies. She listened carefully while appearing to study her room assignment. The human will not last 3 days. The tank-like alien from earlier was talking to his friends. "Look at her. No claws, no armor, no venom." What did the admissions board think? Maybe she is bait. Another alien laughed. "Put something weak in the trial to make the first kills easier." Lucy kept walking. She had heard similar comments for the past 6 months, ever since news spread that 3 humans had been accepted to the Academy. The other 2 had washed out during basic training. That left just her, representing an entire species that most galactics considered soft. Her room assignment led to a corridor in the lower levels. For beds, 3 already claimed by aliens who looked at her like she was dinner. The largest one, covered in natural spikes, gestured at the remaining bunk. "You get the corner. Try not to cry too loud at night. Some of us need sleep before we start killing things." Lucy nodded politely and unpacked her few belongings. While her roommates compared weapons and battle scars, she pulled out a small tablet and began reviewing everything she had learned about the Academy layout. Emergency exits, supply routes, communication networks. Information her new roommates had ignored because they were focused on being intimidating. The Academy database contained 500 years of trial records. Lucy had read every single one during her 6-month preparation period. She knew which areas of Hadron Moon had the most water, which rock formations provided the best shelter, and exactly how previous winners had claimed victory. More importantly, she knew something her instructors had missed. The trial was not actually about finding the strongest warrior. It was about identifying natural leaders under impossible stress. Every single winner had demonstrated not just individual skill, but the ability to read situations and make tactical decisions that others could not. The problem was that all the previous leaders had chosen tactics based on their species' strengths. Overwhelming force, natural weaponry, physical dominance. Lucy would need different tactics entirely. Her roommates were already planning their first kills. Lucy was planning something much more dangerous. She was planning to survive by being exactly what they expected her to be: harmless, overlooked, and completely underestimated. Outside her window, Hadron Moon hung in the star-filled sky like a gray marble. In 7 days, it would become either her grave or the place where she proved that humans belonged among the galaxy's greatest warriors. She just had to do it without becoming the kind of warrior everyone expected. Blood splattered across gray rocks as the first cadet died. Lucy pressed herself deeper into the shallow cave where she had spent her first night on Hadron Moon, watching through a crack in the stone as two predator species aliens fought over territory near the landing zone. The trial had started 12 hours ago with a simple announcement: hunt or be hunted. Survive 30 days. Begin. Most cadets had immediately formed kill squads based on species loyalty. The Corvin pack hunters moved together like wolves, all scales and teeth. The Brutari heavy assault troops claimed the high ground with typical military precision. The Sithek ambush specialists had vanished into the rock formations before the transport ships even finished departing. Lucy had run, not in panic, but according to plan. While others fought for prime territory near the supply drops, she had mapped out 7 different hideouts in areas everyone else considered worthless. Narrow spaces too small for larger species, unstable ground that would not support heavy aliens, spots with poor visibility that aggressive hunters would ignore. Her first hideout was barely wide enough for her shoulders. Perfect! Through a crack in the rocks, Lucy watched a blue-skinned Corvin drag his kill toward a nearby stream. 3 more of his pack emerged from hiding spots she had not even noticed. Professional hunters, each one capable of tracking prey across miles of terrain. They would be dangerous opponents in the coming weeks. Movement caught her eye from another direction. A small alien with gray fur was limping toward the same stream, clutching a damaged arm. Lucy recognized her from the academy, Kira, one of the few prey species cadets who had somehow earned admission. Her people were famous for being fast and clever, but terrible fighters. The Corvin pack leader noticed Kira at the same time Lucy did. His lips pulled back from sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. Lucy faced her first real choice of the trial: stay hidden and let natural selection run its course, or reveal her position to help someone who would probably get them both killed. She thought about Commander Brass and his lecture about trust being a luxury. She thought about the 80% casualty rate and the need to be ruthless above all else. She thought about every previous trial winner who had succeeded by thinking only of themselves. Then she thought about the real reason humans had been accepted to the academy after centuries of being considered too weak for military service. General Stone had not recommended her because she could fight like an alien. He had recommended her because she could think like a human. Lucy grabbed her emergency medical kit and crawled out of her hideout. The Corvin pack was already moving toward Kira when Lucy appeared on an overhanging ledge 30 feet above them. She had maybe 10 seconds before they reached optimal striking distance. Rockslide incoming, Lucy shouted while pushing loose stones toward the edge. Take cover. It was not actually a rock slide, just a few dozen pounds of debris that Lucy had spent an hour positioning near her hideout. But the noise echoed off the canyon walls like an avalanche, and the Corvin pack froze in confusion. Kira looked up at Lucy with wide eyes, then bolted toward a different section of the stream. The pack leader snarled something in his own language and gestured for his team to pursue, but they had lost the element of surprise. Prey species reflexes were fast enough to matter when they had warning. Lucy dropped back in her hideout and immediately began planning her next move. The pack would remember her interference. They would come looking for the small human who had cost them an easy kill. She needed to be gone before they organized a proper hunt. But first, she needed to find Kira. Tracking a prey species alien across rocky terrain should have been impossible for a human. Lucy managed it by thinking like an engineer instead of a hunter. Water sources were limited on Hadron Moon. Kira would need to drink, but she would avoid areas where predators might wait in ambush. That left 3 possible locations within reasonable distance. Lucy found her at the second spot, a small pool fed by underground springs. Kira had her injured arm wrapped with strips torn from her uniform, but the bleeding had not stopped. "You saved me," Kira spoke without turning around. Prey species hearing was excellent. "Why?" Lucy approached slowly, keeping her hands visible. "Because dead allies cannot watch your back." "Allies?" Kira finally looked at her. "The trial forbids alliances. Working together gets both of us disqualified. The trial forbids nothing except failure to survive." Lucy sat down near the pool and pulled out her medical kit. "Let me look at that arm." Kira hesitated, then extended her injured limb. Lucy cleaned the wound with practiced efficiency. 3 parallel cuts, probably from corvin claws during an earlier encounter. Deep enough to be serious, but not life-threatening if properly treated. "You studied field medicine," Kira observed. "I studied everything that might keep me alive for 30 days. Lucy applied antibiotics and fresh bandages, including alliance theory. There has never been a successful alliance in trial history. Lucy finished wrapping Kira's arm and sat back on her heels. There has never been a human in trial history either. Maybe it is time for some new records. Kira was quiet for a long moment, testing the flexibility of her bandaged arm. "What do you propose?" "Information sharing, resource coordination, mutual defense against common threats." Lucy gestured toward the distant sounds of combat echoing across the canyon. "The big predators are already forming kill squads. The military species are claiming territory through force. Everyone expects us to die quickly and quietly. You want to prove them wrong." Lucy shook her head. "I want to survive long enough to prove them stupid. There is a difference." Kira's ears twitched in what Lucy recognized as amusement. "The Corvin pack will remember your interference. They will hunt you specifically now. Let them try." Lucy stood and shouldered her pack. "I have 6 more hideouts they will never find, and 3 backup plans for situations they will never expect. Plus, I now have an ally who knows their hunting patterns. I know all the hunting patterns." Kira fell in a step beside her as they left the water source. Prey species study predators the way predators study weapons. Lucy smiled for the first time since arriving on Hadron Moon. Then this alliance might actually work. Behind them, the sounds of combat were growing closer. The real trial was just beginning. Dex stood over the wounded Sithek assassin like a conquering hero, his massive fist still dripping blue blood. The Brutari warrior had caught his target trying to poison a water source, and the resulting fight had been brief and violent. Lucy watched from her hidden position 50 meters away, counting the tactical mistakes that would get Dex killed within the week. He was strong enough to crush steel, tough enough to shrug off most weapons, and absolutely certain that raw power could solve every problem. Typical Brutari thinking. What Dex had not noticed was the second Sithek hiding in the rocks above him, or the third one circling around to attack from behind. Assassins rarely worked alone, and the wounded one was likely bait for a larger trap. Lucy had 3 seconds to decide whether to warn him. She chose option 4 instead. The smoke grenade landed directly between Dex and the wounded Sithek, filling the entire area with thick gray clouds. Lucy had rigged it with extra chemical compounds that would confuse most species' enhanced senses. Through the chaos, she heard Dex roar in confusion and the distinctive whistle of Sithek blade weapons cutting empty air. "Contact rear," Lucy shouted from her concealed position, using standard military terminology. 2 hostiles high and moving. Dex reacted with trained reflexes, spinning to face the new threats just as they dropped from the rocks. His return fire scattered the ambush, and the surviving Sitheks retreated rather than face a prepared opponent. The smoke cleared to reveal Dex, standing alone among scattered weapons and blood stains. He looked around suspiciously, trying to identify his mysterious helper. Lucy stayed hidden until he moved on, then emerged to check the abandoned gear. Sithek equipment was always useful, and the wounded assassin had dropped a military-grade navigation device. More importantly, Lucy had just saved the life of someone who would remember the favor. This was day 8 of her Harmony protocol. The name had come to her while reviewing her alliance with Kira. Traditional military thinking focused on defeating enemies through superior force. Human thinking focused on turning enemies into allies through superior understanding. Lucy was systematically applying the second approach to a trial designed around the first. Her network had started with Kira, whose prey species knowledge of predator behavior was proving invaluable. Together, they had identified 12 cadets who were struggling to survive alone and might be open to cooperation. Lucy had been helping them anonymously for the past week. Food caches left in areas where hungry cadets would find them, but positioned to look like natural supply drops. Warning signs carved into rocks near known ambush points, written in common galactic script that anyone could read. Medical supplies accidentally dropped where wounded aliens would discover them. Each act of anonymous assistance came with the same simple message carved nearby: cooperation builds strength. Lucy was teaching 200 elite warriors a lesson their instructors had never intended. She found Kira waiting at their third backup rendezvous point, a narrow canyon that provided excellent cover and multiple escape routes. Her ally had spent the day mapping Corvin pack movements, and the news was concerning. They have claimed the entire eastern sector. Kira reported while checking her weapons. 8 confirmed kills so far, all lone operators who wandered into their territory. They are coordinating like a professional military unit. Lucy nodded while updating her hand-drawn tactical map. The Corians were following predictable pack hunter strategies, which made them dangerous but not unbeatable. What about the others? Brutari heavy assault teams have fortified the high ground near the main water sources. They are charging other cadets for access, enforcing payment through violence. The Sithek assassins are targeting anyone who shows leadership potential, probably trying to prevent organized resistance. In our network, Kira's ears twitched with satisfaction. 17 confirmed members, plus 6 probables who are following our supply drops, but have not made direct contact yet. Your anonymous assistance program is working better than expected. Lucy smiled grimly. Military academy training focused on individual excellence, but real combat required teamwork. Most of the cadets had never learned how to cooperate with other species, which gave her network a significant advantage. Time for Phase 2. Lucy pulled out her navigation device and began plotting coordinates. We stopped being anonymous. The plan required precise timing and absolute trust among species that had been enemies for generations. Lucy spent 2 days coordinating through hidden message drops, establishing a communication network that spanned half the trial zone. The target was a Brutari checkpoint that controlled access to the cleanest water source on Hadron Moon. 3 heavily armed warriors had claimed the position and were demanding weapons payments from anyone who wanted a drink. Several smaller cadets had already died of dehydration rather than surrender their only means of defense, that Lucy's network hit them from 6 directions simultaneously. Kira and 2 other prey species cadets provided distraction from the east, using superior speed to draw the defenders' attention. A wounded Corvin that Lucy had treated earlier led 4 non-pack aliens in a frontal assault from the south. Meanwhile, Lucy herself climbed the cliff face behind the position, carrying enough explosive charges to bring down half the mountainside. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. When the smoke cleared, the checkpoint was abandoned and the water source was open to everyone. More importantly, 23 cadets from 8 different species had worked together flawlessly, proving that cooperation was not only possible, but more effective than traditional competition. Dex found Lucy as she was rigging warning sensors around their new shared water source. The massive Brutari warrior looked confused and slightly angry, which was his default expression when confronting problems that could not be solved by hitting them. "You saved my life 3 days ago." It was a statement, not a question. Lucy continued working on her sensors. "I prevented unnecessary waste of resources. Your survival benefits the trial ecosystem." The trial ecosystem. Dex repeated the phrase like it was a foreign concept. "You talk like the trial is not about individual strength. Individual strength gets you killed when outnumbered 10 to 1. Lucy finished her work and turned to face him directly. "Collective strength gets you home alive." Dex stared at her for a long moment. Lucy met his gaze without flinching, despite the fact that he could literally crush her skull with one hand. Sometimes the most important battles were fought through eye contact rather than violence. "The Brutari do not ask for help," Dex said finally. "Good thing I'm not asking you to ask." Lucy shouldered her pack and prepared to leave. "I am asking you to pay attention when help arrives." She walked away before he could respond, leaving the giant warrior to contemplate the idea that maybe, just maybe, there was more than one way to be strong. Red warning lights erupted from hidden emitters across Hadron Moon as ancient defense systems awakened from 500-year slumber. Lucy felt the ground vibrate beneath her feet as massive weapons platforms emerged from concealed positions in the rock formations. The real trial had finally begun. "Attention, cadets." Commander Brass's voice echoed from speakers built into the mountainsides. "Phase 2 is now active. Hadron Moon's automated defense grid will eliminate all targets that fail to demonstrate proper tactical coordination. You have 48 hours to prove your worth or die." Lucy scrambled up a rocky slope toward her emergency shelter, mind racing as she processed what she had just learned. Hidden defense systems, automated targeting, requirements for tactical coordination. This was not mentioned in any of the trial records she had studied, because it was not supposed to be mentioned. This was the real test that a plasma bolt scorched the rocks inches from her head as she dove into her shelter. Through the entrance, she could see tall metal towers rising from the ground, each one bristling with weapons that tracked movement across the trial zone. The towers were positioned to create overlapping fields of fire that would make individual survival nearly impossible. Her communicator buzzed with an emergency frequency she had never heard before. Kira's voice came through filled with panic. "Lucy, the defense grid is targeting anyone moving alone. I count 15 towers in the eastern sector, all of them firing at isolated cadets. 3 confirmed kills already." Lucy grabbed her tactical map and began marking tower positions based on the weapons fire she could observe from her shelter. The pattern was becoming clear. It was worse than she had feared. The towers are not targeting individuals. She spoke into her communicator while calculating firing angles. They're targeting anyone who fails to move in coordinated units of 5 or more. 5 or more. Kira's voice cracked slightly. Most of the remaining cadets are dead, wounded, or hiding alone. How are we supposed to form units that large? Lucy looked at her network roster. 28 confirmed allies, scattered across 30 square kilometers of hostile terrain, all of them currently hiding from weapon systems that would kill them for moving alone. Meanwhile, the Corvin Pack and remaining Brutari squads were probably having similar problems, since their units were built for hunting small targets rather than coordinating large formations. The defense grid was designed to identify natural leaders who could organize complex operations under impossible pressure. Lucy had been preparing for this moment without realizing it. Emergency Protocol 7. She spoke calmly despite the chaos erupting outside her shelter. All network members converge on backup rally point 3. Move in groups of 5 minimum. Use cover formation Delta. Watch for automated tracking systems. Lucy, that rally point is 12 kilometers from my position. The defense grid will cut down anyone who tries to cross that much open ground. Not if they move properly coordinated. Lucy was already packing her essential gear. Trust the network. Trust the training. Trust each other. She emerged from her shelter to find the trial zone transformed into a high-tech battlefield. The ancient towers swept the landscape with targeting beams, firing precisely aimed plasma bolts at anything that moved alone or in small groups. Bodies of isolated cadets lay scattered across the rocks, victims of a test they never understood. But Lucy also saw something the tower operators had not expected. Her network members were already moving, forming exactly the kind of coordinated units the defense grid was programmed to allow through. Kira led a 5-alien team across the eastern ridgeline, using prey species speed and pack coordination to navigate between targeting zones. A mixed group of former enemies moved through the southern canyon, covering each other's movements with the precision of a trained military unit. Even some non-network cadets were beginning to copy their formation patterns, recognizing that cooperation was the only path to survival. Lucy's communicator buzzed again. This time the voice belonged to Dex. Human, your network is the only group moving successfully. My squad is pinned down near the northern water source. We need assistance. Lucy paused in her own movement toward the rally point. Dex represented everything wrong with traditional military thinking: strength without wisdom, power without cooperation, victory through domination rather than coordination. Helping him went against every lesson the trial was supposed to teach. On the other hand, saving his squad would prove that the network's methods worked even for the most stubborn opponents. Network Units 4 and 6 divert to assist Brutari squad at northern water source. Formation Charlie. Watch the crossfire zones. Integrate rescued personnel into your movement patterns. Understood. Moving to assist. The next 2 hours became a masterclass in tactical coordination. Lucy's network teams moved across the landscape like a single organism, rescuing isolated cadets, neutralizing tower threats through coordinated attacks, and proving that complex operations could succeed where individual heroics failed. By the time all surviving cadets reached the rally point, something unprecedented had happened. 67 aliens from 12 different species were working together under unified command, sharing resources and covering each other's weaknesses like a professional military unit. Dex approached Lucy as they established defensive positions around their temporary base. The massive warrior looked confused and slightly embarrassed, which was progress from his usual mixture of anger and arrogance. Your methods work, he said simply. My squad owes you their lives. Your squad earned their lives by learning to trust other species. Lucy checked her ammunition count while scanning the perimeter for tower positions. That is the real lesson here. The real lesson. Dex gestured at the defense towers still sweeping the area with targeting beams. This is not about strength or courage or any traditional military virtue. This is about something else entirely. Lucy nodded while marking hostile positions on her tactical map. The defense grid was still active, still dangerous, but no longer an insurmountable obstacle. Her network had proven that cooperative tactics could defeat automated systems designed to eliminate individual operators. The Academy is not training warriors, she said quietly. It is training leaders who can unite warriors from different species into effective combined forces. Everything else is just background noise. Dex was quiet for a long moment, processing implications that challenged everything he had believed about strength and survival. What happens next? Lucy looked around at the diverse group of cadets preparing defensive positions, sharing equipment, and planning coordinated operations against a common threat. Former enemies working together, species barriers dissolve in the face of mutual necessity, individual egos set aside for collective survival. Next, we finish what we started. Lucy checked her chronometer. We have 36 hours to prove that 67 aliens from 12 different species can work together well enough to shut down an automated defense grid that has been killing Academy cadets for 5 centuries. And if we fail, Lucy smiled grimly while loading fresh charges into her plasma rifle. We do not get to fail. Too many people are counting on us to succeed. The central command tower rose from the heart of Hadron Moon like a metal mountain, its weapons systems tracking movement across 50 kilometers of terrain. Lucy lay flat against cold rock, studying the structure through her scope while coordinating the largest military operation in trial history. 67 cadets from 12 species were positioned in precisely calculated formations around the tower's defensive perimeter. Each team had a specific role in the plan Lucy had spent 18 hours developing. Each individual knew exactly what they needed to do and when they needed to do it. The beautiful part was that none of them fully understood how all the pieces fit together. Only Lucy could see the complete picture. Network Alpha, report status. She whispered into her communicator. Demolition charges placed on towers 3, 7, and 12. Kira's voice came back steady despite the danger. Corvin Pack members integrated successfully. They know their business. Network Beta, status report. Electronic warfare team in position near the main power conduits. We have that Sithek assassin who knows advanced tech systems. He says he can disable the targeting grid for exactly 4 minutes. Network Gamma, report. Assault teams ready for tower insertion. Dex has tactical command of the heavy assault elements. He wants to know why you are not leading from the front like a proper warrior. Lucy smiled despite the tension. Tell Dex that proper leaders put themselves where they can do the most good, not where they can look the most heroic. She checked her chronometer. 2 hours until the trial officially ended. The Academy instructors were probably monitoring everything from their command ship, watching unprecedented cooperation between species that had been enemies for generations. This was either going to revolutionize galactic military thinking or get everyone involved court-martialed for violating trial regulations. Lucy preferred to focus on the first option. All teams, stand by for synchronized assault. Remember, we get one chance at this. If the plan fails, we all die together. Better than dying alone. Dex's voice came through the comm with something that might have been humor. Begin whenever you are ready, little general. Lucy took a deep breath and activated the master frequency that connected her to every surviving cadet on Hadron Moon. Academy instructors, this is Cadet Lucy Chun broadcasting on emergency frequencies. What you are about to witness is not a violation of trial regulations. It is an evolution of military tactics that your curriculum failed to anticipate. She paused, knowing that her words were being recorded and would probably be studied by military academies across the galaxy. For 500 years, the kill trial has tested individual strength through elimination combat. Today, we demonstrate that collective intelligence can achieve objectives that individual force cannot. The Academy asked for the strongest warriors. We are delivering the most effective military unit. All teams, execute Operation Harmony. Make history. The assault began with electronic warfare. Lucy's tech specialist disabled the central targeting grid exactly as promised, creating a 4-minute window where the defense towers could not track coordinated movement. Demolition teams used that window to eliminate outer tower positions with precision explosives, opening corridors for the main assault. Meanwhile, Dex led 3 mixed-species assault teams in simultaneous attacks on the central tower's 3 main entrances. Brutari heavy weapons specialists provided covering fire, while Sithek infiltrators disabled internal security systems. Corvin Pack hunters used superior coordination to clear the tower level by level. Lucy remained at her overwatch position, directing the entire operation through real-time tactical adjustments. When Team Alpha encountered unexpected resistance, she redirected Team Beta through alternate routes. When the electronic warfare countdown reached 60 seconds, she coordinated a general withdrawal that preserved all assault personnel. The Central Tower's weapon systems shut down completely after exactly 3 hours and 47 minutes of coordinated assault. Hadron Moon fell silent for the first time in 500 years. All teams, report casualties. Lucy spoke into the comm while scanning the battlefield for signs of continued resistance. Team Alpha, no casualties. Repeat, 0 casualties. Team Beta reporting. Minor injuries only, all personnel operational. Team Gamma here. 2 wounded, both stable and mobile. Mission accomplished. Lucy closed her eyes and let relief wash over her. 67 cadets had executed a complex military operation against automated defenses designed to kill elite warriors, and every single person was going home alive. Network Elements, this is your commanding officer. She spoke formally now, knowing the instructors were listening. Operation Harmony is complete. The defense grid has been neutralized through coordinated tactical action. All trial objectives have been achieved. She paused again, then added the words that would define her military career. Academy Command, we respectfully request that the trial results show 67 successful graduates rather than one lone survivor. These cadets have proven their worth not through individual killing, but through the kind of tactical coordination your elite units will need in real combat situations. Commander Brass's voice came through the speakers built into the mountainsides, and for the first time since the trial began, he sounded impressed. Cadet Shun, your request is acknowledged and approved. All surviving personnel will receive full graduation status. Prepare for extraction in 30 minutes. Lucy looked around at the diverse group of aliens gathering their equipment and treating their wounded. Former enemies sharing medical supplies, natural predators working alongside traditional prey species, individual warriors who had discovered the power of thinking beyond themselves. Kira approached her as the extraction ships appeared on the horizon. So what happens next? Do we all go back to our home worlds and pretend this never happened? Lucy shook her head while watching her former classmates help each other prepare for departure. We go back to our home worlds and teach others what we learned here. We become the kind of officers who can turn traditional enemies into effective allies. And if the galaxy is not ready for that kind of change, Lucy smiled as Dex approached, leading a group of former rivals who now looked at her with something approaching reverence. Then we make it ready. One mission at a time, one alliance at a time, one impossible situation at a time. She gestured toward the disabled defense towers that had terrorized Academy cadets for centuries. After all, if we can make this work, we can make anything work. The extraction ships touched down precisely on schedule, their crews staring in amazement at the sight of 67 Academy cadets from 12 different species working together like a single military unit. The legend of the Harmony Protocol had officially begun. General Stone stood at attention as Lucy entered his office wearing the crisp uniform of a newly commissioned Academy graduate. The insignia on her collar showed the rank of lieutenant. But the real mark of her achievement was the diverse group of officers who had requested transfers to serve under her command. Congratulations, Lieutenant Shun. General Stone's weathered face showed the kind of pride reserved for exceptional accomplishments. I trust you know why I called you here. Lucy took her position across from his desk, maintaining military bearing despite the informal nature of their meeting. The Galactic Defense Council has questions about the Harmony Protocol. Questions, concerns, and approximately 50 different military academies requesting copies of your tactical reports. General Stone activated a holographic display showing deployment charts from across known space. It seems your little demonstration on Hadron Moon has caused quite a stir. The display showed Academy training programs on dozens of worlds, all of them implementing variations of the cooperative tactics Lucy had developed during the trial. Species that had barely spoken to each other for generations were now conducting joint military exercises based on her coordination methods. 6 months ago, the concept of mixed species tactical units was considered impossible. General Stone continued. Today, we have Corvin hunters working alongside Brutari heavy assault teams, Sithek infiltrators coordinating with prey species reconnaissance units, and human tactical officers commanding them all. Lucy studied the deployment data while processing its implications. Sir, is the Council concerned about humans assuming leadership roles in traditionally alien military structures? Quite the opposite. General Stone smiled for the first time since she had entered his office. They want to know how many more officers like you Earth can provide. The hologram shifted to show Academy graduation statistics. Lucy recognized several names from her trial group. Dex had completed advanced tactical training with honors. Kira was specializing in interspecies communication protocols, and even some of the former Corvin pack hunters had enrolled in cooperative leadership programs. The Chun Protocol is being implemented as standard curriculum at 17 major military academies. General Stone explained. Trial survival rates have improved by 40%, and graduates are demonstrating tactical coordination capabilities that we previously thought impossible. Lucy nodded while reviewing the data. The protocol works because it addresses cooperation as a learnable skill rather than an instinctive behavior. Most species can adapt to it with proper training. Most species, perhaps, but humans seem to have a natural talent for it. General Stone deactivated the hologram and looked at her directly. Which brings me to your new assignment. He handed her a sealed packet containing orders that would define the next phase of her military career. Lucy opened it carefully, reading through deployment details that made her pulse quicken with anticipation. The first integrated tactical unit. She read the designation aloud. Multi-species rapid response force. Personnel drawn from academy graduates trained in cooperative protocols. 60 officers from 15 different species, all of them volunteers who specifically requested to serve under your command. General Stone explained. Your mission parameters include crisis response, diplomatic security, and tactical demonstration for government officials who still believe traditional military thinking is adequate for modern threats. Lucy looked up from her orders with something approaching amazement. Sir, this unit composition would have been impossible 6 months ago. 6 months ago, we did not have proof that it could work. General Stone stood and moved to the window overlooking the academy training grounds. Today, we have video recordings of 67 former enemies working together to accomplish objectives that individual force could not achieve. Below them, mixed groups of cadets were conducting cooperative training exercises that would have seemed like fantasy before the trial. Brutari warriors learning to coordinate with Sithek infiltrators. Corvin hunters practicing formations with prey species scouts. Human tactical officers teaching alien specialists how to think beyond their species' limitations. Your trial demonstration has fundamentally changed how the galaxy approaches military cooperation. General Stone continued. The question now is whether you are ready to take that responsibility to the next level. Lucy folded her orders carefully and placed them in her uniform pocket. Sir, I believe the real question is whether the galaxy is ready for what cooperative military units can accomplish when properly coordinated. Explain. Lucy moved to join him at the window, watching as her former trial companions led training exercises for the next generation of Academy cadets. Individual species excel at specific tactical roles, but they fail at complex operations that require multiple specialties working in coordination. Cooperative units can handle threat scenarios that traditional military thinking cannot even recognize, such as multi-front conflicts involving technological, biological, and psychological warfare simultaneously. Diplomatic crises where military force needs to be coordinated with cultural sensitivity. Deep space exploration where crew survival depends on species diversity rather than individual capability. Lucy paused. The kinds of challenges humans have always solved through cooperation, but on a galactic scale. General Stone was quiet for several minutes, considering implications that reached far beyond traditional military planning. Your unit will be based at Nexus Station, with deployment authority for any crisis situation requiring immediate response. You will have access to the most advanced equipment available, plus full tactical autonomy for mission planning. Understood, sir. There is one additional element to your assignment. General Stone handed her another document, this one bearing the seals of multiple planetary governments. You will also serve as liaison to the Academy Board of Directors, helping to redesign trial protocols for future classes. Lucy read through the liaison assignment with growing understanding. They want to ensure that future trials produce officers capable of the kind of cooperation we demonstrated. They want to ensure that what happened on Hadron Moon becomes the new standard rather than a unique exception. General Stone returned to his desk and activated a communication array. Your transport to Nexus Station departs in 2 hours. Your new unit is waiting to begin operations. Lucy stood at attention and saluted properly. Thank you, sir, for everything. Thank me by proving that humans deserve the trust the galaxy is placing in us. General Stone returned her salute with military precision. and by making sure that cooperative tactics become so effective that no one ever questions their value again. Lucy left his office with the weight of expectation balanced against the excitement of possibility. Her first command would include former enemies who had become trusted allies, species barriers that had dissolved into tactical advantages, and military challenges that could only be solved through the kind of thinking humans brought to impossible situations. The girl they had once labeled harmless was about to discover just how dangerous cooperation could be when properly applied to galactic-scale problems. Behind her, General Stone activated his personal communication system and began composing a message to Earth Command. Request immediate Academy expansion to accommodate increased demand for human tactical officers. The galaxy has discovered what we always knew. Humans make excellent military leaders when they are allowed to lead in their own way rather than copying alien methods. He paused, then added a final line that would become part of official military history. The Chin Protocol has proven that sometimes the most powerful weapon is the ability to turn enemies into allies. Recommend full implementation across all military branches. Outside his window, the Academy training grounds buzzed with activity as the next generation of cooperative warriors began their journey toward a galaxy where strength meant lifting others up rather than tearing them down.